Hi, and welcome again to the Savvy Singers TV show. I'm your host, Marlon Bailey, where we educate, empower, and entertain. And today, we are sitting with Pastor and First Lady, and we're going to get their thoughts behind success mentality and walking that journey together. And as we normally do, we want to remind you guys, all right, to invite someone, bring somebody into the conversation, as we have Pastor John Corridon and the First Lady, Dr. Rachel Corridon, to the set of Savvy Singers. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
How y'all doing?
Good.
I'm good. I'm good too. Yeah.
Nice. So, Pastor.
Yes, sir.
Pastor. Nice. My first question to you is, your beautiful wife is sitting there. So how did you win the heart of Dr. Rachel?
I think by being born.
I love it.
No, but I think looking back, we had so many moments, but I think it was from the initial meeting. That would have been at Glowfest. 2015.
Yes,
2015. Wow. I was the
Tobago.
production manager. That's Tobago. Yeah, in Tobago, I was the production manager. And after the event, I saw this vehicle carrying what seemed to be a fence. I don't know how that was attached to it. So I stopped them, and it was a piece of metal, a wire. But I have to exaggerate because I was in knight in shining armor. And I think that was it. When I walked out all statuesque and stuff. Yeah, no, but. I think the winning, because it had to be a process, of course. I don't think you win somebody's heart by just a one-off.
That's it.
But that was the foundation.
The initial interaction.
And then we started speaking, and I think just being myself. I never tried to be anybody else, and I think she fell in love with who I was, or probably who she knew I could be. Yeah,
that's good. That's good. Yes. What do you think about that?
I think he's quite correct. Mind you, I didn't actually notice that he was the knight in shining armor until afterwards, right? After I met him again. Right. Well, I know this tall person jumped out of a car and saved me because I thought my car was going to die, But
he saved the day.
He saved the day.
Nice.
But yes, he's also correct in saying that as time went by, it's not a one-off thing. As time went by and we conversed, right? I realized that, besides being all good-looking and stuff,
right.
He's a good one.
He's a good heart, a good mind.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Anyway.
And I felt safe.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that leads us to our discussion today, having the right success mindset. Right? Because success is not something that is overnight.
Yes.
It's a process and the right mindset. How important is that? I want to speak to you as a medical doctor, how important is having that right mindset. And even if you don't have it, to get there, to succeed, to pass the rejections and the negatives and just pursue.
Yes. So, as you said, it's a journey, right? When the first step is having that vision.
Nice.
So, my vision, as long as I remember, I knew what I wanted to be.
Nice.
So all of my family members would already know from small, Rachel wants to be a doctor. The only difference was I thought at that time I wanted to be a pediatrician.
Right.
Until I did pediatric rotation in medical school, and I realized that was not for me. Yes. So then my love and my passion changed when I did my obstetrics and gynecology rotation, and I realized this is where my heart is, and this is where I'm going to stay and lodge.
Nice.
So, as I said, it's a journey. It starts with a vision. And then it's about overcoming the challenges to attain that vision and developing a passion. Without a passion,
that's it.
And without the drive to overcome the challenges, because there were challenges.
Yes,
there were naysayers, people that you would look up to, like older doctors and stuff, may have spoken negative words to say it wouldn't happen. When they look at my background, when they may have looked at my mother is a nurse, they would say just a nurse, And how are you going to achieve that? But prayer the confidence of my family, my parents, my extended family. They all, in their mind, I was everything and a bag of chips, and I could do it.
Yes.
And so that was important as
So the
well.
confidence.
Those
key.
people around
And it's
you,
good to
yes.
have the right community.
Yes.
Yeah, that support.
Exactly.
Yes. So
Yes.
so John,
Yes.
were you in meeting Richard, were you a pastor already?
No, I wasn't.
No?
Far from. No, I wasn't.
That is good. So how did the call come? Because I know you in music.
Yeah.
I know you in the entertainment, seeing you doing your thing out there. But when would you say, we said call comes,
Yeah.
and you say pastoring, because it's not just being in ministry.
That's right.
Right? You're now a shepherd.
That's right, yeah.
Leading the flock.
The earliest in my life I could recall the call was at the age of 17.
Yeah.
Clear as day that this is what I was meant to do, to lead, to pastor. Laughed, ran. I just wanted, I was born into church, if you want to say like
Right.
I've been very active in church. All the different denominations I would have had experiences in. But never really wanted to pastor, never saw myself being a pastor. It was not until it was actually the year after we got married that I actually became a pastor. I started theological school early, probably my 20s or so,
Right.
ran again. So it's like the call was always there and a reoccurring call.
Nice.
But sometimes the time of your call is not the time of your appointment, of course,
Wow.
or deployment. And
Wow.
and I understand that better now, that certain things needed to come into play, certain factors needed to be in existence. I always tell persons this, I could not pastor as a single man for a number of reasons, but I don't think I would have been focused enough.
Nice.
And I understand more the significance of having not just a wife, but a life partner, a purpose partner. And that made the answer. When that call came 2 years ago, it was almost an immediate yes, because now I was more mature and I was ready in being married and so on, and that assisted in it. Wow. So the call was from 17. I'm 35 now. Past time for 2 years, so you do the math.
So you see, guys, the journey with success and the journey with your journey. And I think that's important. You understand your journey.
Yes.
It's yours, right? Along with being married and with God on your side,
Yes.
Yeah.
And Dr. Asia,
Yes.
when you're courting marriage and then I'm going to pastor,
Yes.
what was that for you? Or is it something that you already knew and...
So,
I hear this.
so there are a few pieces to that puzzle.
Nice.
So I come from a family where two of my cousins actually ended up marrying pastors. So it's like part of...
It's like, that's what we do.
Yeah, And further to that, when I met John, he used to preach, right? So it wasn't something foreign, right, or far-fetched.
Nice.
Yes. When the call did come, though, for me, my fear would have been, as he would say, you're very needy. So my fear would have been losing that time.
Yes.
That focus, because he was very focused on me, very focused on the family and stuff like that. And so now there's this
tension.
Correct. And the church is like another spouse. So that responsibility is quite huge.
Yes, it is.
And so of course you can only stretch yourself so thin.
Right.
So something has to give. And so even now, I think it's a bit better now.
Right.
But in the beginning, it was very difficult.
Making that adjustment.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Having them all to yourself.
Correct.
And now you have to, pastor,
Yes.
call pastor. You have to run and do that.
Yes.
But the responsibility, and I think sometimes, even in your profession, caring for people.
Yes.
And I think sometimes God have an amazing way of just making this fantastic portrait of our lives.
Yes.
Where, because you have the heart already for people,
Yes.
so now it's just going to transcend even more to the spiritual upgrowing and the holistic development of somebody else.
Correct, yeah.
Yes, and take us into, you know, sometimes even as we want to go to our dreams and aspiration, you know, we have this negative connotation to the word failure. Yes, I want your aspect on that, because I believe failure is part of the journey, and it all depends on how you take it.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All successful people have the moments where it didn't work.
Right.
But do you now stay down or do you get up and go? Yeah, so how, Pastor, how would you?
Well, firstly, failure is a concept for a person who does not have a success mindset.
All right, sir.
And that's where I want to start. Failure is a concept for a person who doesn't truly have a success mindset. Because when you have a success mindset, you don't have failure, you have lessons.
All right.
Yeah? And I was at that point. So I don't want to purport like I have it all together or always been there.
No.
But I've been there, having certain fears of failure in different aspects. As Risha would have said, she had a clear picture of what she wanted to be.
Right.
All I knew, I wanted to be successful. What was that? I couldn't tell you. I went through from primary school to secondary school, changing my career in my mind about 6 times over.
Right.
Pastoring was never part
there.
of it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
From electrical engineer to doctor to police officer, and you know, right? But I always, to businessman, but I always knew I wanted to be successful.
Yes.
I didn't have a clear road map as to what that entails.
Yes.
I'm not trying to sound super spiritual, but I've always been a believer. Not a saint per se. So I always had, if person want to call it, the God factor. Yes. But then that became a more prominent part of my life, and that helped me to understand now that success is whatever God spells for my life. You know? And if that is what God has for my life, then if I should fall, it's not a failure, but it's a lesson. Get up and dust yourself off. So the encouragement I would give to anybody is this. Don't ever, as a matter of fact, erase that word from your vocabulary.
Nice.
Not failure, lessons.
Nice.
Yeah, lessons.
Nice.
And if you can see it as that, no matter what happens, because we have a pandemic, you have ailments, you have death, you have so many things happening around you in life. And if you were to give that the attention, then success would be a far-fetched, not even dream, but it would be somebody else's dream, perhaps, not even yours.
Somebody else's dream. And that's the key. That's the key. What would you say is one of the contributing factors to develop a success mindset, like you said? Because, you know, we've been programmed one way.
Right.
So now we have to now unlearn so many things to now get back there. What are one of the things you say you would have had to do to eradicate that failure concept? To
gain a certain degree of knowledge regarding who you are, and what you possess and what you're meant to do. That is my philosophy right now. Knowing who you are, it gives rise to who you are. And when you know who you are, you know what you possess, and then it becomes clearer what you ought to do. Nice. So I'm speaking about purpose. I'm speaking about God's intent for our life. Now, we all have plans. The Bible says like this, that many of the man say, I'm a pastor, I go there. Right? Many of the plans in a man's heart, but only the purpose of the Lord shall prevail.
Right. That's
right? And when we come to understand and know who God is and know who we are, it exposes what we possess, because what we possess is in alignment for what our purpose is. I said a lot there, I hope I catch it again. When you know who you are, you know who you are, then you know what you possess, because what you possess is in alignment with what you're meant to do.
Yes.
And that's the jump off point for me there. Yes. So coming to that knowledge, that opens limitless possibilities. And some of the things that we may call success is actually God has already ordained that, because it's in alignment with what He requires you to do anyway.
So it's just for us to find it, get connected to it, the passion. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the studios and we are listening to Pastor Corridon and his beautiful wife, Dr. Rachel, here, and we're talking about the success mindset. And I love what he said, know whose you are. Yeah, know who you are, and that's the beginning. Because sometimes a lot of persons project what they believe is best for us on us, right? And you have to navigate through those things and find you. Dr. Rachel, I know you said you had always known that this was my... How did you deal with, you know, the projection of other persons? You know, like, you should be this, you should be that, and then you marry this guy faster now and that kind of thing.
So to be honest, I don't think I ever had the challenge of external factors telling me to be anything else. But during my moments of disappointment, because of course you would understand that becoming a doctor is a very long road.
Yes, it is.
And then add becoming a specialist onto that. It's a life journey.
Yes.
So along that road, I had lessons, a few lessons. I didn't know about lessons, let's say in the beginning, like secondary school and stuff like that. But when I got into university, I had my first failure/lesson, you know? And so my mind would have given me those moments of maybe this is not what you're supposed to do. Maybe I'll become a teacher. So I went through those moments. Maybe I'll go to Bible school. I went through that moment too. But it wasn't, not that Bible school is wrong, but I was using that as a way to escape my dream.
Yeah, like a plan B.
Like a plan B, exactly. So I think sometimes it's not always people external, but sometimes it's your own self.
That's it.
Killing your own dream.
That's it.
And so you have to speak to yourself. You have to call yourself back and say, no, scratch that. We're going to continue.
Wow. Yeah. Tell us, what was that self-talk? Because now we're going deeper. Yeah, that's self-talk.
So basically, my self-talk came from my mom speaking in my ear a lot. From childhood, even now. Yeah? You're not going to give up on your dreams. I remember my first semester in medical school. I did very well the first midterm. And the second time, well, let's say all hell broke loose, right? And I remember going into the laundry area and crying. I was in Grenada, and I was crying, and I said, Mommy, send for me. I am coming home. I didn't do well, and I don't think this is for me. And she listened.
Yeah.
And I could see her face through the phone, you know, with a straight face. I don't know what you're talking about, but you're going to continue.
Yeah, there's no option.
Exactly. You got here. You got yourself here. You got all of us on board. And so you're going to continue. Because as I said, I had a great crowd of witnesses. I had my aunt sending boxes of food on boats with my mom. And, you know, so it's a whole community behind you. So in your mind, you don't want to disappoint all these people. You might be able to disappoint yourself and get away with it. But no, you can't. And also the memory of my father. I knew that I had to become what he knew before he died I would become. Wow. And so all of that behind me drove me to continue.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yes.
And Pastor, 2 years leading a flock. How has the growth been for you?
I want to say surprisingly well, but again, nothing is out of the purview, is out of the knowledge of God. Yes, so I don't want to use the word inherit. So I have a senior pastor who is on assignment in another country for at least 3 years. So I am in lead pastor for a season. I always remind the congregation of that. Because if they return, then I hand over reins again.
Okay.
And I can recall one of my first functions as pastor was to perform a funeral.
Wow.
Shortly after that, another. And a couple infant dedications. I call myself, I say, I'm the funeral bantam. Later, early the next year, lockdown.
Right.
This is year 2 of lockdown again.
Wow.
And I have seen God He's done some things. The first time we came off of lockdown, the church grew by 12%. Now, I pastor a relatively small congregation. and statistically grew by 12% because we were doing like live services and so. When we came off of the first lockdown in 2020, we had five persons in total being baptized.
Wow.
The membership grew by at least 6 persons. So as I say, a small congregation, so 12% increase. And guess what? The same thing is happening. We're just waiting for the beaches to be reopened. We have another 6 persons to be baptized and hands of fellowship again, as we call it. And this is just one area of growth. That's numerical growth. The spiritual growth has been phenomenal. I firstly have grown.
Right.
I have first, and I believe as a leader, if you're not growing, then something is wrong, because persons, we can never reach that point of self-actualization where you know it all, you've done it all, you are. No, I'm learning, because let me tell you this. At first, I thought pastoring was about preaching. I could do that. But can I be honest with you?
Talk to us.
You see the soul care?
Yes.
You see the people factor?
Yes.
The differences in personalities and opinions?
Come on.
Man, I learned a lesson called learning to love the unlovable. I keep it real. I'm talking about trying to do for person. This is not necessarily my congregation. I'm talking about generally speaking, interactions. Trying to assist persons who give a cold shoulders. And I had some prayer. I had some prayer time. And I can recall when I became pastor, before I actually gave the answer, I spoke to God first, then I spoke to my wife. Yes. And I told God like this. I said, honestly, I know I can preach, I can talk. That's I believe is a gift given by God as well. But that's not the limit to pastor. I say, God, I can't do this without your wisdom. Be careful what you ask for. Be careful what you ask for.
Because
yeah, be careful, because I have seen, even in terms of, and I know we're talking about growth, and I said growth within myself. If I've written 100 sermons, I had to table 99 because God said those weren't from me, or at least they weren't for the time. I'm talking about working on months to present a real good, and Holy Spirit, like Saturday night, that's not what I want you to do. And I've learned to hear, and that's it, to hear and interpret the voice of God a little bit better. And that now translates into my personal growth, because now I've transitioned from just preaching to teaching. And that's a different dynamic, because you have to ensure that the information is accurate.
That's right.
You have to ensure that it's not your opinions, and that it is accurate Bible. And I have grown because of that. And I've seen persons around me grow as well. So much so we have departments that we didn't have before. Media, we're growing in that area. We were pushed, I have to say. When I became pastor, well, as you know, I came out from, I have a background in music and production. So I believe those gifts are to be used for the kingdom. I mean, I was always doing it in gospel, but now that I'm pastoring, why stop?
Why? Exactly.
I mean, amp it up, why don't you? And I spoke it that we were going to start a media department. We wanted to go into online, and it's lockdown came, and we had no choice. Had no choice, using 2 phones and Zoom. and we have been reaching the world so much that just recently I presented to a gathering in Pakistan. I've never been there, but the gospel is going forward. So I'm saying all of this not to boast myself, but to say that the growth even in this time is phenomenal. And I could only say it's not me. As I say, I ain't bright enough to do this thing, so it have to be God.
That's God. And again, it just speaks to the goodness of God. In fact that, you know, He works with what you have. Yeah, He works with what you have.
And give it to you in the first place.
That's it. That's it. And it's for us now to avail ourselves, you know, and bring. Guys, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I love the passion. I love the information. You all are so free. And I feel the heart. I feel the heart. But we are coming close to the end. So I want to get your final remarks. All right, Pastor, I want you to speak to our audience and just tell them, even as we post-COVID, you know, as what is God saying, or what do you think is a direction for someone listening?
All right. So I don't want to go ahead and say God is saying this to me in this moment, but for the season, it has been a resounding thing that we ought to not slacken the riding, as we say in the old church. Slacken not the riding. That means don't let go. Don't give up on your dreams, on your aspirations, on that purpose that God has on your life. I have seen personally persons who have that success mindset able to start businesses in the heart of a pandemic and be successful. Now, if they can do it, what separates them? What distinguishes them from the person who isn't but have the desire to? The mindset. And I believe your belief system really plays to that success, obtaining success, whatever it may be, whatever success is for you. Could be business, could be marriage, could be a family, could be ministry, because we talk about calls a lot, about calling on your life, and calling is not only ministry in terms of pastor, apostle, but you can be called to be a doctor, you could be called to be a lawyer, could be called to be a businessman.
That's right. Make a difference.
Calling simply speaks about what is the purpose. Why were you sent to this place called earth? Yes. And that is what you need to do. Take some time. Speak to the one who has the answers. I don't. I can encourage you. But I know the one who does. And speak to him. And guess what? He answers. Not just answers, but if we talk about prayer, and I say prayer is communication, that means it's a two-way street. Stop speaking a little bit and start listening.
Yes.
And I guarantee you, money back guarantee, that once you start doing that, God is going to give you everything. Not going to. He has already given you everything you need. It's just we need to go through the motions. Just as we say victory has already been won, we just need to fight still. So here what's happening. Develop that success mindset. Fight, push, press, pray, but do the work. It's going to be difficult, but nothing good in life or anything meaningful in life comes without a fight. Fight on. That's my encouragement. Fight on.
Fight on. What a way to close our session today here with Pastor Corridon and Dr. Rachel Corridon. So thank you all so much for stopping by. On the Savvy Singers TV. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to say special thanks to, making sure we have everything in place. We're looking good. Eric Alvarez and Sunlight Studios, we want to say special thanks to them, our executive producers, all right, behind the scenes, making sure everything is happening. Again, don't forget to follow the page, PRVM Performing Arts Academy, all right, and be sure to join us again Sunday at 4 p.m. Again, the only person that can stop you from attaining your goals and your dreams is you. So as Pastor Corridon says, fight on. We love you.